White cows, purple dogs, green frogs. Boo, boo.
Yeah, so what's up, Dad?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for doing this, by the way.
I'm excited.
I was wanting to get like a home iteration of Project 303 because I have some people at home that I care about. I feel like they have some good perspectives on things. You particularly having a lot of knowledge about different subjects that I've been blessed to learn about throughout the years. And I was hoping you could kind of talk us through some career advice. And so I was first going to ask you, what is it exactly that you do for a career?
Good stuff. I feel like I have the greatest job in the world. I'm the executive director of Consumer Insights and Strategy for Turner Sports.
Okay.
And that's inside the NBA and Bleacher Report and all the sports you see on the Turner networks. Warner Media Networks. And just to give a brief description of what I do, I think will give some context. There are three ways which I bring value. One is making sure we properly connect to fans and fans connect back to us. It's important that we had that dialogue going on with fans because we're nothing without them. The second thing is helping us understand cultural strategies within. If we've not dealt with within, we can't help reach the fans outside of us, right? So working a lot with culture, we have a program called Reflect Our Fans, and we're making sure that we look like the fans we want to reach out to. And then the third thing just simply is the consumer insights part, which is really making sure that we're aligned with what the data is telling us. We like to be sort of data focused versus data driven, and we let that help drive our decisions.
So taking that, what would you say to someone who's trying to get to where you want to be, or what career advice would you give to someone my age? And I know you kind of are have a tendency to kind of just go about, so I'm gonna just give you the floor, but like what career advice would you give to someone who's my age?
I think the very first thing someone your age entering the field needs to do is take a step back from looking for a job, which is like I want, and do some self-discovery. And so what I want to do is take some of this time to talk to you and everyone in your 303 world about how to do self-discovery. It really starts with asking yourself three basic questions. Okay? The first question is, who am I? The second question is, what is it that I truly want? And the third question is, what is my purpose? Okay? It's important that the questions are asked in that particular order. And if I were to give you a percentage breakdown, I would say spend about 80% of your time really discovering who you really are. The I, capital I, right? Not what people have named you or your titles or your desires, but who you really have been created to be. Then about maybe 15% of your time trying to understand what are your wants coming from that. And then the final 5% would be just what your purpose is. And that should be pretty easy because once you fully understand who you are, you kind of know what you want, and then your purpose becomes self-evident. So let me take a step back and tell you how I discovered this, and then maybe give you an idea of how you can go about doing it.
Okay.
This is my 23rd year at Warner Media, which used to be Turner. Somewhere around age 40, I decided, yeah, I'm gonna try to go to business school with 3 kids and also try to hold down a career, and I'll like ignore health. And what happened was I ended up with pretty severe back issues. I don't know if you remember, I was laid over and on the floor. That actually, what I discovered was something that was happening for me, not necessarily happening to me. Right? So the shift in my mind frame from, okay, I'm in tremendous pain, there's got to be a purpose around that. What is that purpose? And I think it was just to really sort of slow myself down and pay attention to things around me. One day, I was really struggling and going to get some medication to deal with the back pain. And the person who I report to now came up to me, approached me, seeing me struggling, and sat me down. And I just said to them in frustration, I'm telling everyone my back's hurting. I'm talking to the current boss I have, and this boss suggests it's all in my mind. And she looked at me, the person I'm speaking to looked at me and said, it might be. And I went, how so? And she said, I just came from a leadership conference, and Deepak Chopra, who's like renowned for, he's an MD, but he also was sort of like a spiritualist, taught us a meditation about asking ourselves these 3 questions. And then she began teaching me that meditation. So I want to teach everyone this meditation right now, and sort of walk you through it, and then talk through some of the steps and principles of it. So we already covered the first one, right? Who are you? First question, what do I want? What's my purpose? In that order. What you would do is just, I'll do it here now, sit with my feet flat.
I can go through it with you?
Yes, please do.
Okay.
Feet flat, hands open. The first thing I do is try to think about 5 things that I feel blessed for, right? And then when I say you feel blessed, it's something that you don't feel you deserve. It's just a beauty or a joy in your life, right? So the miracle in your life. So when I count to those 5 things, I'll do it out loud, and I can do it with my eyes open. I feel very blessed that I can breathe. I feel very blessed that I have, Malam, Umakai, and Mason as sons in my life. I feel blessed that I'm employed at a time during, COVID and social unrest, political unrest, and the tough economy. The 4th thing is I feel blessed for today. That I opened my eyes today, was able to get out and try to help someone today. And the 5th one is I feel blessed right now that we can have this conversation and record it. And I hope that it edifies others. The reason why it's important to go through that process is when you began going through the process of feeling blessed, what you're doing is you're killing your ego. Okay? Ego, E-G-O, stands for edging God out. It's that voice in your head that sounds a lot like you, but it's telling you everything that's wrong.
Yeah.
All that you deserve, I should have this is the problem, I can't, I'm going to fail. It's sort of really tough for that ego to exist in the world of gratefulness. It's almost like if you took a freshwater fish and put it in salt water, it would just wither and die. That's what you do with your ego when you become grateful. After I do that, I close my eyes. And the goal here is to try to find my heartbeat. So there's 3 pounds banging in your chest right now. And it's really crucial, right? Because if it's not doing that, you're not alive. If you can't find your heartbeat, because it takes some practice sometimes, become aware of it, just notice there's movement in your body. Maybe a pulse moving, you're breathing, you'll notice some movement. The key here is to try to speak to your heart with these questions, because we're looking for our passion, not our brain, right? Because your brain's what you think, your heart is sort of, we think about how I love. So we're going to ask our love about what's our passion, what's our purpose. Exhale. Who am I? What do I want? What is my purpose? Maybe just sit for a moment. You can almost feel your heart beating in your palm. You feel that in your palm, your heart beating? Okay. We'll open our eyes. So this meditation is not, it's not like magic where something's going to happen instantly. It's sort of like if you came and said, hey, I want to look like LL Cool J and have a body with all his muscles, and you just did 1 push-up, it wouldn't do it. But it's a practice of doing it daily. And the way I think about it is before I leave a doorway, I try to do it. Before I come in a doorway, I try to do it. And then I try to find, or I work to find time throughout the day to do it. It sort of calms down anxiety. It draws my attention to my breath. Count, that I'm grateful. And as asked that question, you can discover doing that while standing online, waiting for something, or if you find yourself frustrated, sitting in traffic right before a test. It really settles you. Now, as I began that practice, what I start discovering is the answers start coming to me about who am I? And I've got an interesting answer back, and I believe I can share this with everyone on this discovery. You are more than you think you are, or what others have decided you to be. So I'll give you an example. If you were to just Google what percentage of your body is water, you're going to get something like 70% of your body is water. Well, then if you ask yourself, well, how old is water? 70% of me is water. Scientifically, you're going to get somewhere around 3.5, some people will say 6 billion years old. So you start with, wait a second, 70% of me is 6 billion years old. Then as I began doing it, I noticed I'm focusing on my breath. This is really important. And I discovered that if I didn't eat for a day or two, I'd be okay. I get a little cranky maybe, be okay, but I can go several days without eating. And as I've done fasting practices, I've gone maybe 7 days without having to take in food. You can go several hours, maybe even a day or two without drinking. But how long can you go without breathing? Right? It's instant. So the suggestion here, and this is what the meditations revealed to me, that breathing is far more important than eating or drinking. Yet our focus, remember that when things are out of order, they're not working. Right? Back to we have to ask who and then with purpose. Your focus generally starts with, I wake up, I'm thirsty, I want something to eat. And we rarely think about our breathing. You know, I'll talk to an athlete and they'll say, well, I had this many calories, I drank this, and I'll say, well, how many breaths did you take? And I go, I don't know. But if you think about it, it's the most important thing that you can do in your life. In fact, you don't have to believe me. You can sit there and hold your breath. I'll keep talking and you will experience it, right? And as soon as you get that hunger for breath, you will reach out to grab it. So as I started thinking, okay, so the core of who I am is breathing. Then I began thinking, well, what am I breathing? Well, you're breathing in oxygen, right? And you're breathing out carbon dioxide. So if you were to breathe back in that carbon dioxide, then we would just be living here like this, the rest of the videotape, right? So there's something taking that carbon dioxide and feeding you back oxygen. That is the trees, right? Leaves, trees, things of that nature. And then you ask yourself, well, how does that tree take all this carbon dioxide, this poison that I'm breathing out, right? And how does it convert it back to oxygen for me so I can breathe it in? And we learned that in about 7th grade, right? Photosynthesis. So the question becomes then, okay, so this tree is using photosynthesis, then where is it getting, what is that? What does that mean? Well, photo light, so it's using light energy. So then the question is, where does light come from? Most people say the sun. But if you think about it, the sun doesn't give you light. Light actually gives you the sun, right? Light precedes the sun, right? And if you want to think about it scientifically, you could say, okay, there was a big bang, great, there's this big bang, and then there was light, and then you had the sun. If you think about it religiously, you can think of it this way. In the beginning, right, let there be light, and there was. And then later he made the sun. And so now we're starting to think, wait a second, there's something here. So the sun is coming either from some special magical Big Bang or from God, right? Through the sun, light's coming through the sun, feeding life to the tree, which is converting it to oxygen. So the core of what I am is water, and the essence of how I exist is oxygen, and now I know that oxygen is connected directly to light. Make sense? And if you know that every action has an equal and opposite reaction, then you know that there's light outside of you doing that conversion. There must be light within you as well doing that conversion. So now, the answer to my question is, who am I? Is I am light. Right? I'm made up of components that are billions of years old. There's no more or less water on this planet from the very beginning. Man can't make water, so there's something magical about water. Right? When I'm not thinking, I'm breathing. Something is breathing for me and feeding oxygen back into the carbon dioxide into the planet. My waste is feeding life to all the planet around me, which is in exchange feeding me back oxygen. I belong. I'm part of something. I'm connected to this universe. Every part of me proves that, right? I have acceptance. So now I'm feeling grateful again. So If I thought I was just Malin and all I wanted was a job and I'm going to make money, that would be such a limiting thought for something that is so connected to all of the universe, right? That can have an exchange with the sun, which, by the way, light moves 186,000 miles per second. If you look at the sun, it's so far away that that light actually happened 8 minutes ago. So you're able to actually look into the past and be present here, right? This is kind of like scary stuff, but then you think, wow, this much, I am much more than who I am. Well, as Beyonce says, it's part of something bigger. So now I'm realizing if I'm all of this, and that light in me is the most powerful source in the universe, then what's outside my reach? Nothing. Well, if nothing's outside your reach, then I'm going to change what I want to something a little bit more ambitious than what I initially thought I wanted. And then I'm thinking, well, why would the universe put all this power in me and have me breathe the most essential thing to my existence without even thinking about it? All this time I've been doing that. Then the next thought has to be, there must be a purpose. So before you start with the I want a job or I want a career, imagine if you were to stop and just realize or come to the actualization of who you really are. Then you would start thinking, okay, well, I want a little bit more. And if you have purpose, your want becomes outward facing. So instead of, hi, I'm Makai, this is what I want, it becomes extended. Hi, I'm Makai. Here's what I want to do for others. Do you feel that connection? Mm-hmm. And as you start drawing in that connection, that starts putting you in places where you become more desirable. It is the difference when you're interviewing for a job between a person that they can work with and a person they can't work without. And stop and think about that for a second. Who are you likely to hire, right? It's the difference between being rememberable or unforgettable. Who are they likely to hire? You're going for a job, right? Or building a career, or making a difference. It's a very powerful construct. To understand you're simply light, which is love, and that love is limitless and all powerful, and that love's want is just more love, spread love to the world, and how I spread love to the world is my absolute purpose. It's so attracting, right? And then as you step into that, you're not fulfilling yourself with joy. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So I think for any young person starting out on their career, and if you don't want to follow this practice, follow whatever practice comes comfortable with you, really should carve out some time to be still, become cognizant that they're breathing, right? Because if you're not aware you're breathing, you're sort of like a fish when you go, well, how's the water? And the other fish goes, what water? Like the essence of who you are, you're not aware of what's around you. And take account of who you really are. And if you start doing that inner search to doing that, that will help you then begin to find out what your purpose is. What you want, and then you'll find your purpose.
When I get home, I gotta hold you just a little bit closer. Until I'm gone, I'm gonna love you just a little bit longer, yeah.
The thing that can really destroy you, or your greatest enemy, actually is your enemy. It's what's in you is the thing that can bring you down. Because if you fully know who you really are, which is light and love, you're infinite. You're indestructible. There's a funny joke. A couple of years back, I think maybe back in 2008, went to Beijing, and then we went outside of that part in China to the Great Wall of China. And, went walking up the hill, and the thing took my breath away, because it's a long walk in the Afghanistan.